And the Ghana Prison Service projects 40% reduction in population after the passage of community sentencing bill. The Ghana Prison Service is envisaging a 40% reduction in prison population after the passage of that bill into law. Now, statistics from the Kumasi Central Prison shows 61% of admissions were, as at May 2022, were inmates convicted of misdemeanor offences. Assistant Head of Criminal Records Office of the Kumasi Prisons, Superintendent Francis Appel, explains decongesting the prisons will promote the reformation and restoration of prisoners. Nanaya Ojima was at a sensitization workshop on community service sentencing and has come through with this report.
There are currently 44 prisons with installed capacity of 9,945 across the country. As at June this year, the prison population stood at 14,622 with 12.5% of inmates on remand. Presently, the Kumasi Central Prison and Nsawam Male prisons have exceeded their capacities by a total of 3,738 persons. Superintendent Francis Appel explains the present conditions makes reformation and rehabilitation of inmates impossible.
When you are coupled with an overcrowded facility, you spend a lot of resources. You spend almost all your entire resources feeding them, giving them sound place, a decent place to sleep, fortifying your walls, ensuring that cracks and doors are fixed to prevent escape. And that is our challenge when you are faced with overcrowding. You always spend all your resources maintaining the facility to prevent escape. Less resources are devoted to reformation and rehabilitation.
In 2021, 63.2% of convicts in the Kumasi Central Prisons were given sentences less than 2 years imprisonment. In 2020 and 2019, persons convicted of misdemeanor formed 64 and 62% of prison population respectively. A proposed bill on community service sentencing is expected to deal with misdemeanor offences with communal sentences to decrease prison population. The Ministry of Interior, with support of stakeholders, initiated the process in 2014. The Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, under the USAID Justice Sector Support Activity, assisted the ministry to organize a technical working group workshop on the draft bill to address issues raised by the Attorney General on the bill. The bill has since been forwarded to the Attorney General's office for advice. Mina Mensah is director for CHRI Africa Office, advocates for the bill.
In fact, the courts themselves would give you a fine for a minor offense because they admit that you are not a non-violent offender and that you don't necessarily have to be incarcerated. Unfortunately, the alternative is to give you a fine. Most people who find themselves committing such offenses cannot even afford the fine. So invariably, you go back to jail because that is the alternative. You either pay the fine or you are sentenced to custodial term.
Superintendent Appel is optimistic of the impact of the passage of the bill.
These people have committed a misdemeanor or offenses that are not really hardened. And these are the target that the community sentencing falls in. So these are the people that we think that when the bill is passed, it will reduce the intake.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.